Hello, everyone. This is Will.
This is Alex.
Welcome back to another episode of They Mostly Come Out at Night.
Mostly.
You know the drill. Go to social medias. Go to our YouTube page.
Go to our web
go
zones.
to anywhere you find podcasts.
Everywhere.
Go like, comment, subscribe if you like what you hear. If you do like it, also share it if you want to. You know, if you have friends that might be interested as well.
This is also true.
Have them listen. We do appreciate anyone listening. We appreciate our audience very much. If you have recommendations, keep sending those in.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
We will get to them. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. All right, let's get into it. You saw the poster. I posted it on tonight. We're doing it.
1 second. Let me just see. Make sure I didn't have
Do we have
any.
housekeeping? Do we have?
See if I didn't have any housekeeping.
Sorry. Okay. All right.
I almost forgot.
Backtrack. Okay.
Well, yeah, sure. I guess it's housekeeping. One of you kind people said that you watched Razorback on account of our glowing review of it.
I really hope you liked it as much as we did.
They did love it.
Hell yeah.
And I'm happy because, I mean, the more people watch Razorback, the better. So
See,
I am glad.
we do contribute.
You get something positive.
You get something out of this podcast,
Out of this.
okay? Just let that be a lesson to you.
Somebody watched Razorback. So I'm glad you enjoyed it because we obviously adored.
More people should. If you haven't seen it, go watch Razorback now.
Yeah, because we adored it. But now,
But for now, we're going into franchise films for a moment. So we're going Friday the 13th.
a new beginning.
New beginning. This is a pretty controversial. It flopped pretty hard, didn't it?
No, this made money. What do you think they made
a
more?
lot. Oh, that's true.
They all made money. Technically.
But like
It was
I guess
critically-
I guess the idea kind of flopped because they didn't really do anything with the whole concept after this one. They just went
Yeah.
back to form. They just went back to Jason,
This was kind of looked at as a, I don't know, I guess you want to call it like
the
a
black
weird,
sheep of the
weird experiment.
Yeah, I mean it's listen, I don't hate this movie. I know a lot of people do.
Yeah, I like this movie.
I know a lot of people think that it's kind of just stupid and they should have done just Jason again.
I get it.
Like, I get it. I like Jason too. I think the other. Listen, there's definitely better films in the franchise other than this movie. Like, clearly. I mean, the first four are incredible. They're great. If you just watch the first four, that's really all you need. I mean,
Disagree.
well, I know you disagree, but I mean, if you only watch the first four,
You'd be fine.
Yeah.
technically.
I disagree too because you should watch after this one too.
Because personally, my personal favorite is 6, which is the one after this.
Yeah. Now there are worse ones in this franchise too. We kind of discussed this before, which will be on the podcast as well.
I mean, they will all be on here.
So Jason Takes Manhattan is probably our least favorite.
And
I
obviously,
know there's
like,
fans of that one, but I'm not a big fan.
it's if I had to skip one during a marathon, I would default to that.
I
mean,
don't
obviously,
need I don't need Boat Jason. That's all I.
No. And I mean, obviously, all of these movies, it will be on the podcast. So, I mean, I will give it another shot,
Yeah,
but I don't.
but we're starting with this one because the first four are a little too high.
Well, we did have
We did the 4. That's right. Oh yeah,
Final chapter.
Okay. The thing. Okay, so we'll get into that later. Because I have some issues with this movie. It's kind of frustrating in a way for me. Not in a bad way. It's pretty nitpicky, but I just want to go over it.
I think I know what it's gonna.
It's just nitpicky. I mean, it's still a good movie. I'm not saying that like you shouldn't watch it if you're like a Friday the 13th fan.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the franchise,
It's
I don't
good.
see any reason to really not
It has like
watch this.
Jason vibes. So
Yeah.
like I mean like spoiler alert, Jason's not in it, but it has Jason vibes, like hardcore.
Yes, because
So
for those of you who do know or don't know,
listen,
I mean,
it's from 1985. We're spoiling it. I don't care. It's been decades.
well, I'm also spoiling if you haven't seen Final Chapter. For those who don't know, Jason dies at the end of that.
Yes.
Little Tommy Jarvis slices his fucking head in half in that, in a great fucking amazing effect and a great kill. But that's how that one ends. So comes the next year, because that one made a fucking bucket load of money.
Yep.
They're like, well, fuck it. Another one. Let's do another one. And so you get this one where it's, you know, if you see the movie, it's not Jason.
We'll get into that.
But they kind of do a thing at the end. So
So it's going to be kind of a rambler because we'll just talk about the kills.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about like kind of the plot. We'll do an overview. And then we'll just talk about, I mean, it's a slasher film. So we're just going to go over all the kills basically because the plot is sort of unimportant, you know? So like
it's a slasher movie.
It's a little important because like you need to know why the person's killing, but like that's about it.
Yeah.
It's like you just need to know why the hell this is all happening, and that's all you need. And then you just fucking see kill after kill after kill.
And then you just sit back and enjoy.
Yep. So yeah, let's get into Friday the 13th.
Well, the first thing, I mean, is you see the kid in the opening. It's the kid from the last movie.
Yeah. Corey Feldman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was also the same year this came out, was in Goonies. So it's him in the beginning, and he comes up to Jason's grave, and you know, just standing there, and then two dickheads.
Well, two guys want to fucking see Jason Voorhees' body.
So he goes in like the bushes, and they, you know, dig it up, open up the casket. He's in there all covered in worms, and then he stabs one of he kills both of them.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you've seen the last chapter, you know that this is kind of like not it, because I mean, Jason's head would be in.
Well, also, like, I mean, would they bury him in his mask? But whatever.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Because he knocked his mask off at the end of the last one.
Right.
But you know, he kills the two idiots and stands up and walks toward the kid
and like
and
raises
takes a swing at him.
Raises the machete up, takes a swing, and we get a guy waking up in a bus.
In a like
a van.
Yeah, going to a he's going from like a mental asylum basically. And that's the setup. So he goes to it's like a camp, like a ranch with all these troubled youths.
Yes.
And then shenanigans start occurring. That's the setup.
That's the setup. Yeah, so like crazy shit starts happening. We
he's like damaged from the last movie, obviously. He's damaged from everything that happened.
Well, and we get like a colorful cast of characters that all, you know,
this movie is very colorful.
With slasher films, you get to meet a lot of your victims in the first like few minutes of the movie.
I mean, yeah, because like
so we also get like there's like a hillbilly family.
And they hate the fact that they're like right next door to this thing.
Well, because basically what happens is they have all these like troubled youths like terrorizing them. We're because I mean in that scene, she said she's tired of people coming over there, so we presume that there's like
possibly
it happens all the time, but they antagonize it too, so it's like. They're just as at fault.
Oh no, those two characters are absolutely
insane.
Some colorful nonsense.
Well, I love how the mom, like
always fucking insulting.
Swears like a fucking sailor, just like fuck every other word, and like is insulting her son every chance she gets, and fucking is just mean and angry all the time. And her son is just like this really fucking stupid.
He's just a complete dumbass.
Probably belongs with those like those troubled youths in that like camp too. There was
he's definitely troubled.
Yeah, he has some trouble. He's I guess neurodivergent is the new word we're going to use.
That's what you
here.
call.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you call him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
very
okay. Yeah, sure. Whatever you say, buddy.
But yeah, so we have them, they're kind of causing trouble, and then one of the chef or whatever, I can't remember his name, but he has a son that's there.
Who just hangs out there.
Who has a brother that lives in like a trailer park.
Yes.
So that's like kind of the setup of all our characters. So you have the entire like camp farm of all the troubled teens and like the the counselors basically. And then you have the hillbillies, the son that just hangs out there, and then the other son that is in the trailer park.
Yes.
So that's where we're going in this movie.
And the cops, which will show up. But yeah.
So I do like, again, go watch this movie if you haven't seen it. I do kind of appreciate the setup of like the first murder, like, is the catalyst for the rest of the.
Yeah. This one.
Because like it's not. Like the first murder is not by any.
The first actual murder, not counting the dream sequence.
Yeah, it's not like it's not perpetrated by
Yeah.
like any Jason character or Jason adjacent character at all.
And the funny thing is, I had this kill spoiled for me years ago because I remember.
Well, it became like kind of a meme almost.
Yeah, because I remember watching like a video when I was like a teenager on YouTube, and they had this scene in it.
The chocolate bar scene.
And though at the time I didn't know that that's the first kill in the movie, but I did have this spoiled. But it is still very. This scene is. It's very amusing because it's like.
It is fascinating.
You just watch it, and it's just like I like that. There's no music. There's no like music at all, but you can just feel like something is gonna happen because it's like this guy with a chocolate bar. He's a total like doofus, and he walks up to these two girls like folding laundry.
Well, they're folding laundry, and he asks if he can help them because he wants to be helpful. And he wants to help out more around the house.
Camp, yeah.
He's kind of like a lovable adult,
Yeah.
like he's just trying to help, but he has like chocolate all over his hands.
And so they're like, no. And then, he like picks up some stuff and gets chocolate all over him. They're like, get the fuck out of here. And he says,
well, so the whole time this is happening, there is a dude chopping at a solid piece of wood, and he can't like chop it in half. So just keeps wailing on it.
And he's not happy.
One, you can feel like the tension rising because he's getting angrier and angrier at this piece of wood, and like you can tell something's going to happen, right? It's like he's like a pot of water that's about to boil over.
Because the kid bothers the girls, and then they tell him to go away, and he says like,
when he goes over,
that's the way you feel.
Yeah,
just forget it. And then he walks away.
He gets frustrated, so he walks over to the guy chopping the wood,
and the tension is just going because
and he tries to break it because he's like, oh, don't tell them, but I have an extra chocolate bar. You can have it if you let me help you.
And he just like
the guy just keeps chopping the wood.
I like it here, and the guy's like, I hate it.
Yeah,
he just keeps fucking chopping this thing.
Well, and the guy is with the chocolate bars. He sets the chocolate bar.
He's like, I'm just gonna leave it here, and if you want,
and if you get hungry, you can have it. He's trying, okay?
And then he chops it in half.
And he's like, well, if that's how you feel, forget it. And then he like walks away, and the guy like gets so frustrated at that he literally hacks at the kid with the chocolate bars.
And then it's like the next scene, and they're all like horrified. And, ambulance shows up, and you just see, like, this body, a bloody body with, like, a towel over it or whatever. And it's these two, like, paramedics, and they, like, one of them walks up to it and, like, opens it up, and it's just, like, this mangled fucking mess.
His arm, it's horrific, because this is, like, one of the most violent, like, aftermath scenes in the entire movie, because his arm is literally laying on top of his back.
And his back has, like, all these, like
wounds
on it.
Yeah, like, this guy just fucking went to town on this body.
And the paramedic who, like, lifts it up, like, everyone's horrified, and he's just like, bunch of pussies.
Well, he blows a fucking, like, bubble gum.
Yeah.
Like, and he's like, bunch of fucking pussies.
And this other paramedic is like, he's just...
Well, like, visibly shaken.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell it's fucking him up. And you're like, maybe he's just fucking horrified. Like, but then he starts acting kind of, like, weird.
Yeah.
Well, if you've seen the movie, you know.
Yeah. And then they take that body away.
Yep.
And the end of those two. The one who killed him, he goes away.
Yeah, he gets arrested. So now there's like tension in the house because like, there's like a scene where one of them sets the table, but like she sets too many places.
She has 2 extra plates.
Yeah, and they get like kind of upset with her. The main guy makes like these masks, and he gets
Because he had them in the movie before this, and he brings them.
Yeah, so one of the troubled youths puts it on and like scares the shit out of him.
And then is like, because he's not laughing, he starts like kind of punching him.
Well, he's like, "Hey, like, didn't
What's
you
the
think
deal?
that was
What's the
funny?"
problem, man?
And
It's
he
funny.
gets flipped over a table,
Flips over and starts
and,
punching him.
like starts punching him, and then the counselor has to like control him.
So it's also kind of like building up, like
Well, like maybe this guy is the
he's
killer.
fucked up.
Yeah,
And then-
because he's kind of violent.
there's also like the
Well,
hillbillies.
and he keeps like having visions of Jason,
Mm-hmm.
because he killed Jason, so he keeps having these like he sees Jason in like a courtyard, or he'll see Jason like
in the mirror.
in the mirror, about to like strike him or something like that.
Plus the hillbilly family, like even the mom is always saying like, if they keep messing with me, I'll chop them up. So it's like that's also
Well, and I don't know what point it comes in, but there's another character that kind of comes in when the mom's like feeding her son stew, and then like this guy,
it's a drifter.
the drifter just comes to the door. And he's like, "I'll do anything.
I just need like some
I just
food.
need some food." And she's like, "Well, go take some chicken shit and put it like on the
Yeah.
side of the shed." And he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Well, he's the goddamn ugliest man I've ever seen."
And the son's like, yeah.
And
Yeah,
like,
he's like,
and she's
"Shut the
like,
fuck up, you dildo."
She's like, "Shut the fuck up, you dildo. You're not too good looking yourself." And he's
Yeah,
like, "You don't
I
know."
know, Mom.
And she just like chops at a chicken and gets all pissed off at him.
Then I think the next kill is the fucking ambulance or the driver.
No, it's the two dudes that where their car
Oh, yeah,
breaks
the
down.
greasers.
The greasers.
Um,
Yeah, in 1985, we have a greaser scene.
yeah, there's 2 greasers going to a party, and their car breaks down, and one of them's like, working on it. The other one goes to take a shit.
Well, I love this. This dude that's like, he literally sits in the car, like lets his friend do everything,
Yep.
and then like bitches him out for not fixing the car. So he's like, "I'm gonna go take a shit."
Fix it. So he goes, takes a shit. The guy's like fixing it, and then you see like a flare light up.
Yeah.
And he's like, "What the hell are you doing, man? Like, what's your problem?" And then as he gets closer, he realizes it's not his friend,
Yeah.
and it's our killer. He
Then-
sticks the flare in his mouth.
Yeah, he sticks the flare in his mouth. You don't see anything after that, and then the guy comes back, and his friend is just laying in the engine
Yeah.
on the engine,
And he's like, "All right."
and he's like, "All right," and he starts like singing a song about like what's going on. He's like, "If you don't fix it,
I'll
I'm
fucking
gonna
kill you.
fucking kill you.
You haven't fixed it, you fucker. You fucking dumbass. Haven't fixed it.
That's so stupid.
And then he turns on the car and
And
he's
then
like,
you
"Hell
see-
yeah!"
And then you see like a hand reach and grab his forehead and pull him back, and then slit his throat.
Slit his throat. That's the end of them. And then do the cops find them? Is it
Yeah,
them?
remember,
Yeah.
because they're thinking like we got like a homicidal maniac on our
Yeah.
hands, like.
But the paramedic shows up in that
So-
scene again.
Yeah, so the paramedic shows up, and you can tell he's like,
Something's up. He's acting weird.
maybe this job isn't for him or something like that. I mean, if you've seen the movie, you know.
Yeah.
And like it's one of those things of like the killer's in plain sight, and like, if you didn't notice it but your brain did, kind of
Yes.
thing. So anyway, the next death is
The dude and the girl at the cafe, right?
Oh, right, yeah. So we get this. So the other paramedic, the one that blew the bubble gum and like made fun
No,
of
it's
the
not
dead.
it's not a paramedic. It's a it's like a driver for the fucking insane asylum.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he was the van driver
Yeah.
he was the one looking at like nudie magazines while they were driving up to the
That's why he's the way he is.
the place. So he's like doing donuts in this fucking like gas station parking lot.
And is waiting for this girl to come out.
And she comes out and she's like, "Okay, well, like, yeah, we'll go to this party. Let me just go get ready and like
me freshen
lock up shop." And he's like, "Okay." So he starts doing cocaine in the car because he has a little kit. He like takes off his fucking rear view mirror
He's got a
not,
whole...
not like a rear view mirror, but it's like a little like vanity mirror on his like his sun shield.
He's got his whole cocaine kit.
He's got a little vial, little fucking razor blade. Just
Little,
starts
like,
snorting it right there.
Table thing, yeah. And so yeah, she's in the... She's all getting ready.
She's in the bathroom getting ready, and then she hears a sound, and it's a big crash. And then it cuts back to the dude in the car, and he's like getting frustrated because she's not coming out. He's like, "Where are you? Come on, let's go!" Like,
Starts blaring the horn.
and then he gets kind of out of the car, and you see a POV shot of an axe coming down onto like a bald spot on his head,
And it just impales him in the back
and
of the
like
head.
you see his face react,
Yeah.
and then he like brushes all the cocaine like kit stuff like into his car, and then he's dead.
Then
And
the-
so the crash was a cat, and it knocked over like some pans,
Yeah.
although they're perfectly stacked when it shows. I don't know. It's like it's fine, whatever.
Well, the crashing sound was more like glass, so it's fine.
Yeah, so she's gonna let the cat out, so she lets the cat out and like goes to the car, and like there's no one in it.
Yep.
So she's waiting for the guy. I don't know where she thinks he went, like the bathroom or something.
But it's fine because she gets distracted.
Well, she sees the cocaine and is like, "Well, if I'm not gonna let it go to waste, like,
Says, this is a nice way. This is a nice way to like waste a lot of money, but whatever.
but more for me or whatever," she says. And then she notices she like is leaning over to get the cocaine, and she notices like a bloody axe
Yeah.
and like Jason's feet.
Yeah.
And so she screams and like gets out of the other side of the car.
And he stabs her.
And yeah, he stabs her with a machete, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then she's like on the ground, and you see like it like slicing into her stomach. That's the end of them. Then the next.
Is it the two in the woods?
Yes, the horny
Yes.
youngins.
So basically all you need to know is between these deaths, it's like the cops are kind of investigating it. One of the cops thinks it's Jason.
The mayor tells him
The
we
mayor's
cremated
like,
him.
the mayor's
Impossible.
like, it's fucking impossible. We cremated him. Like, Jason cannot be alive. There's no
Yeah.
way. And then we get like a bunch of like tension with the troubled youths because they're like trying to figure out who the fuck is killing all these people as well. Then I think they think it's the new like Tommy.
Well, they never
like
ones at
outright
the camp never do,
they never outright say it.
but they do. Like they're kind of trying to get him like more, get him to open up more
Yeah.
because
So-
he's still acting weird and like withdrawn.
We get this guy and this woman. He's horny, and so is she
Because they're the ones who got in trouble earlier.
because she's hanging up clothes, and he comes to proposition her.
for a fucking.
Yeah, and she's like, we can't do it right here, and they grab a sheet and they run into the woods.
Yeah, they run into the woods, find a spot, and start going at it, and then you see someone watching them, and you think it's Jason.
Right, but
then it's actually
it
the-
pans up, and it's the drifter that was helping the hillbilly family. And so
Watches for a bit.
he watches for a bit, licks his lips. He's gonna walk away, and then Jason's right there.
Gets stabbed. Jason drags him away, and then they're done.
So he's like, "I'm gonna go clean up," and then so he goes away. The guy that they just had sex, and she's like laying down and like kind of like trying
Looking
to
like straight up.
just resting.
Yeah.
And then you see like garden shears.
Yeah, she like closes her eyes for a bit and then opens them and screams, and you see the garden shears, and they like come down
And then they snip clothes.
and they snip closed.
And so he comes back.
And she's like laying on the side.
He's like, "Oh, like, why are you sleeping? Like, come on, wake up."
He flips her over, and like her two eyes and like the bridge of her nose are just completely like sliced.
Yes. So he like gets up and he like backs up into a tree branch, like
then
a trunk. Sorry, a tree trunk.
Wraps like a belt around his head and the tree, and like it's right over his eyes. And they insert like a stick into the belt and start twisting it.
Yeah, and they twist it so hard it basically crushes like his eyes and his like skull,
Yeah, you see like it like digging into his eyes and like blood coming out, and then it like
and then it like the leather snaps.
yeah, so it's the end of him, and then everyone at the like ranch starts getting worried because they're gone, and they haven't come back.
Well, we also they're worried about that they haven't come back, but we also get a scene of like they're like kind of like searching for them, but the kid is gonna go see his brother
Yeah,
in the trailer park, and so they take an entourage. So it's one of the counselors, the kid, and they're gonna take Tommy so he can like get out and like
get out and like
socialize. Yeah, and so they go to this trailer park. While the others look for the other people.
some of them look. One of them, I mean, ends up trying to get his Mac on. We'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that because that's after the trailer park scene. Because what they do is they go to the trailer park, and this brother is like just living in a van down by the river. And
I knew you were gonna say that.
he has like it's funny because his like whole like van is like filled with like junk food and like fast food and stuff.
No, listen, I dig it because he has enchiladas, he has tacos,
He has pizza
and egg rolls.
and egg rolls. Yeah.
Because like he offers the kid enchiladas, and then when the girl comes in, the camp counselor or whatever,
He offers her pizza.
he offers her everything.
Yeah, egg rolls, pizza, enchiladas, tacos.
And he's also got his girlfriend with him there.
Yeah, so they're just talking, and while they're like in the van, like just because the brothers are just catching up,
There's like like this neon sign.
and the guy goes to it and is just like, sorry, Tommy goes to it and is just mesmerized by it, and we see like a headlight come on.
Come close to him, yeah.
And he like tries to like shield his vision to see who it is, and it's the hillbilly kid,
His son, yeah.
the son. Like, well, I say kid, but he's a full-grown adult.
He's like a 40-year-old man.
He's a 40-year-old man that acts like a child. So he stops just before hitting Tommy, and he's like, "I got you." And
then he like sees the truck that they
he's
came
like,
in.
"You're one of those
"You're one of
loony
those
bin,
loonies."
like loony bin people," and like he starts like antagonizing him, and he's like, "I'm gonna beat you up. My mom hates you."
My mom's gonna chop you up.
And then he like tries to punch him, but Tommy like just fucking
Kicks his ass.
owns him. He just fucking like completely kicks his ass.
And then they all see what's happening. And they yell.
Well, and like Tommy's beating the shit out of this guy, and he's about to like basically kill him.
Pretty much, yeah.
And the counselor's like, "No, Tommy, don't!" Like,
and then he runs away.
so he's all upset.
And they have to like cut their the meeting with the brother.
So they have to go back to the house.
So they leave. The brother, he's like with the girl, and then he's like, "Oh God, oh no."
He's like,
"What the hell? What's wrong?" And it's like, "God damn it, those enchiladas!" And then he
So
runs
he,
into a fucking like a aluminum fucking shitter.
And then okay, so the scene is just, I don't even know, like the way they set it up is like
It's interesting.
it's a little bizarre, but
It's a little bizarre.
so he's sitting in the shitter, and it starts shaking, and he's like, what's going on? And like it's the woman, like his girlfriend teasing him, and then they start singing to each other.
They start singing, and then like while they're singing for like a good minute, it shows him in there because he keeps cutting back and forth, him in there, her outside, and then like you hear like a gasp,
Yeah, and then like
and he stops singing. He's like, "Are you there?" Like,
when it starts shaking again.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay, I'm coming out there, like you're gonna get it."
and then he tries opening the door.
And he can't, and he like looks down, and her body is blocking the way, and
Yeah.
her throat is slit.
Her throat's slit, so he like gets in there terrified, and then like starts shaking again, and then someone starts stabbing like along. I don't even know what the hell it is.
It's like a piece of rebar, or
Like a piece of
something.
rebar through it.
Yeah,
And he's like going in all the corners. Then it like stabs him through the kneecap.
yeah. And he like leans up against the wall, and it like impales through
impales
his
him.
stomach.
So he's dead. And then the fucking the hillbilly mom is making dinner,
She's has the biggest fucking stock pot I've ever seen in my entire life.
throwing all this nonsense in, and the
Well, because her stew's the best. Remember, she
the best
said
stew.
she said it's the best stew that
true.
you've ever had.
and he's driving on his motorcycle in circles, just like, he beat me, mom.
He's all
He fucking
he's
beat
all
me.
crying and having a tantrum while like zooming around his
And they
house.
keep showing this like POV shot of him like zooming around, so you know what's coming.
So he like goes around the front porch and like zooms around the yard a couple times, and then finally he zooms past a tree and you see a butcher knife come out. Well, it's like a
Pretty sure it's a machete.
well, no, it's one of those big butcher like square butcher.
Oh, yeah.
like knives, but it's like I can't call it a knife. It's like a big cleaver.
Yeah,
And it like comes out of nowhere and it slices his head clean off.
and you see his head roll, and then
Well, and she's like pissed off and like throwing shit in there, and she's like, "Come get your dinner."
you hear the door open. She's like, yeah, like,
She's like, "Finally, like
no,
you know." And then she like
why you can't fucking talk?
picks up a tomato and she's like, "Where are you?" And like you see a hand come through with a butcher knife
Through the window, like a POV,
and like
like her POV. It like comes at the camera, and you see like blood like spray downward,
yeah.
and then she just face first,
On her fist like bursts the tomato.
which, you know, it's funny. It's the second death that I know of in this franchise where someone gets annihilated and they're holding food in their hand and they crush the food. Because there's a scene in the last one,
Oh yeah.
final chapter, where the woman, the hitchhiker,
Yeah.
has a banana in her hand,
Yep.
and the fucking like, the knife comes through her throat and she like crushes the banana.
Mm-hmm.
So they did it again, and then her head goes face first into the stew.
Yep.
That's the end of them.
Now we go back to the house, and this is where the guy's like shooting a shot because they're watching a movie.
Yeah, because what's her name? Because the counselor and the kid get back, and she tells him to go to bed, and like she tells him like, okay, like you guys stay here, like make sure everything's good. Like she tells that guy like, you're in charge now. I'm gonna go find Tommy.
Yeah.
Because also the main guy, the main camp counselor, they can't find him either.
Yeah. So they're
But yeah, the guys,
sorry for
the
squeak,
guy
I
and
was
his girl
adjusting my
are
microphone.
watching. They're watching. What is it called? A Place in the Sun.
Yeah.
Which is funny enough, conveniently, also owned by Paramount.
Well, yeah, I mean,
made this movie?
it says a Paramount Pictures production.
But they're watching it.
Well, and he's like, okay, so they're watching it, and she's like very much just paying attention
She's
to
into
the
it.
movie.
She's eating popcorn.
Yeah.
She's into it.
And he's like, hey,
He's like staring at her, like, waiting to say something.
when he's
So
like,
we've been here for like 8 months,
that's enough time to get to know someone, right?
Right.
And she's like,
Yeah.
Shh, like watch the movie, yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
but I'm trying to watch.
and he's like, I really like you, like a
And
lot.
she's like, yeah, I like you too.
And he's like, a lot? And she like looks at him and like starts laughing.
Well, no, he says like, really, a lot too. Like,
Oh, and he's like, I want to make love with you.
because yeah, his he has like a stutter too.
Yeah.
This character, and then she looks at him and kind of starts laughing, and he's like, I
I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. And he gets all frustrated and leaves her.
and goes upstairs,
And then he goes upstairs and he like knocks
shoots
on.
his shot, wants to shoot his shot again.
So there's one of the youths is like they listen.
She's always listening to music.
She listens to a lot of music and she's always has her headphones in and he like opens her door and she's listening to music again and he's like, I need to talk to you.
And she's like, can it wait? And he's like,
no.
no.
And then he closes the door and like leaves.
and then after he leaves, he's walking away, and you see like,
Something, yeah.
See it?
What weapon is it? I can't remember.
machete.
Yeah, machete.
and then that's it for him.
Well, and she finishes watching the movie and she tries to get the kid to go upstairs to go to bed, but he's like sleeping on the couch, so she puts a blanket over him. I guess it's not important, but that's what happens. So she goes upstairs and she's getting ready for bed and she starts laying in her bed and it's like a huge lightning storm outside. And she rolls over and then she gets killed by, you see a hand like cover her forehead and then
Well, because she sees the body.
Yeah, because he like Jason lays the body right next
and
to
it has
her.
like a slice going down his
So
face
she starts screaming, and he holds her head and like stabs the machete through the mattress.
through the mattress.
On the bottom because it's like a bunk.
It's a bunk bed, yeah.
And then
Meanwhile,
we get the music girl, the music woman
doing the robot,
doing the pop and lock robot to like 80s synth
80s
wave.
synth wave.
And
I dig it.
she's so into it.
She's doing it, and
you get like a POV of like her dancing,
and then Jason comes in, and like like wanders in slowly, like his hands covered in blood, and then she like looks over because she hears a noise, and there's nobody there because there's like a little wall area you can kind of hide. She keeps doing it, and then you get like the shot of her dancing from the floor, and then you just see like the 2 feet walk into frame, and then he walks up to her, like grabs her by the throat, puts her like up against the wall, and stabs her in the stomach.
Yeah.
And then the kid wakes up.
The kid wakes up to go to bed and like thinks that Tommy's back, so he goes into Tommy's room.
Well, he like knocks on the door. He's like, "Tommy, are you back yet?" Then he opens it,
and then the lightning strikes and it lights up the room, and you see the 3 dead bodies on Tommy's bed.
Yep.
So the kid gets all freaked out, understandably. And like he goes to run down the stairs, but the counselor's there, and it's like a jump scare.
And she's like, "What's going on?" And he just like looks over, like,
well, he can't talk. He's in shock, and so she goes in. She's like, "Wait here, like I'll be right back." And you see her walk in, and you see like, and then she just screams
and walks out,
and then slowly walks out, and then they start running out of the door.
Like, we gotta go, we gotta get out of here.
So right as they like run down the stairs,
they fall. Like the kid falls over, and this might be my favorite entrance in any of the movies, which is kind of funny because it's not technically Jason.
Well, I love it because it's not like he just breaks the door open. That door, it fucking explodes.
Well, they do like this like Dutch angle from below the ground because it just kind of comes out of nowhere. They just fall, and it's like this Dutch angle, and this door just fucking explodes, and he just walks in, and they scream, and he's there with his machete.
I'm not gonna lie, it's probably one of the most hyped Jason entrances.
It's probably my favorite, just because it's so.
Which again, like you said, is funny because it's not Jason.
Yeah, but yeah, he breaks through, and the fucking lightning's going off, and.
It also has one of my favorite like shots of Jason in any movie. I mean, it's like the iconic shot, but like it's really well set up and really like well framed, and I love it. It's like one of my favorite like images of Jason.
It's very, I don't know. It's just always gonna look cool.
I mean that's later. It's not like right now, but that is a cool entrance, I will admit. So they start running. They run into the woods. Because they go out the back door.
Yeah, they run to the woods and they run into they see the ambulance.
Yes.
And you see the other paramedic.
Yeah, and he's dead in the passenger. Well, he's dead like sprawled across the seat. And so they start running back to the house. And the kid like gets away from her and like runs faster than her. So
she ends up running into the main counselor.
So the head guy of this camp
is like nailed through his forehead.
He has a railroad spike into his forehead.
Yeah.
And so they get back to the house.
And then she gets back in the house and is like there, and it's kind of quiet. And then another thing that they always do in these movies, and it never gets old, is someone is in a room with a window, and Jason fucking throws a body through it because this happens. I'm pretty sure it happens in 3. It definitely happens in 4, and then they do it again in this.
I just love how much of an intimidation tactic this is, because there's no reason Jason has to throw a body through a window.
But it's great because your character is like temporarily kind of like calmed down, and then nope. Because
he throws.
It's like chef guy.
He throws the kid's dad through the fucking window,
and his eyes are like gone.
Yeah, his eyes are gouged out. And she gets all freaked out, understandably, and starts running to, like, the barn area.
Yeah, she starts running towards this barn, and she ends up falling over, and Jason catches up to her, and as he's about to kill her...
You see something, like, burst through the doors of
the barn.
The barn, and it's like this bulldozer.
And the kid's driving it, and
like,
he hits Jason.
He like blinds Jason because I guess Jason. I don't know why Jason just stands there, but who cares? It looks cool when the bulldozer hits it.
Technically, Jason.
And then so Jason, he gets knocked back, and like you see him kind of react.
You see him get like thrown like 10 feet,
Right.
and then he falls over, and they kind of come closer to him to see like, is it really?
And he grabs the kid's leg.
And then the girl like kicks him in the face a couple times.
And then so he grabs the machete, and they run into the barn,
and Jason stands up, and he has like a gash across his stomach, and he's like visibly hurt.
Which, if you know this franchise, you know that Jason is just like pure fucking evil. He barely reacts to anything that happens to him.
Yeah, because
this dude gets shot and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, because in 4, he gets a fucking computer screen launched onto his head, and it fries his head, and he doesn't.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't react because he's like a fucking like killing machine.
It only temporarily knocks him out.
He's basically like an evil fucking undead zombie.
Yeah. But this is when, they go in the barn, and this is when you see him approach the barn, and it does that shot of.
Well, this is like my favorite like framed shot of like a Jason character. Like it's one of my favorites because it's so cool because they have this blue light shining, and then like he's standing like perfectly framed in the middle of the door frame, and you see like another blue light simulate lightning.
Yep.
And like all the rain coming down. It looks so fucking cool.
Yeah, he walks in
because he's holding like the machete, the classic machete.
And it's got blood on it.
Yeah, and he's just fucking menacing as shit.
Yeah, he comes in, like the kid's hiding. The girl's like in a closet. He opens it, and she starts fighting him with a chainsaw.
A chainsaw, and
she cuts his like shoulder, which again he's visibly hurt,
and he gets like really hurt, and then like she's about to like swing at him again, and the chainsaw stops.
Yep.
So like she tries to like start the chainsaw again. She throws the chainsaw at him, and then starts climbing up the ladder.
And then
Tommy shows up,
and he's like looking at Jason, and he's like,
he's like frozen,
not believing that it's.
Well, he's like frozen with fear because he literally killed Jason.
Yeah, because they play the audio from the end of 4.
Yeah.
When the kid was like killing him and yelling, "Die, die." They played that audio.
And so Jason approaches him and like slashes his stomach.
Yeah.
And so like Tommy's like rolling on the floor because he just got slashed.
And don't forget, earlier in the movie, when he first came to the camp,
he has a knife that he hid underneath his mattress.
Yep.
So he takes that out and stabs Jason in the thigh.
Yep.
And like again, Jason reacts and like falls over.
He's like
really in pain.
Yeah.
And then Tommy like runs to the ladder, and they're trying to get him up the ladder as Jason like gets up again and like starts climbing up the ladder as well.
He gets up there, and Tommy's like knocked out.
Yeah.
He's like, he's out of it. And everyone's hiding. The kid's hiding. He starts attacking the kid, starts attacking the girl, and they see that like, because there's like an open area up top of this barn, and there's like this, I don't even know what the fuck it is, but there's like a bunch of spikes.
Like, maybe something for collecting hay or something.
I'm guessing, but it's just a bunch of spikes.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of spikes. And she sees it, and so he's like struggling with the kid.
Well, the kid ends up like jumping and basically knocking him over.
Yeah, so
think that they kill him. You think
he like falls off into the spikes, but he's like hanging on the ledge, so he tries to pull the kid off the ledge.
Yeah, so it's like her pulling the kid and him pulling the kid, and then Tommy wakes up
and sees the machete on the ground, so he like staggers up and like slices Jason on the wrist.
Yeah.
And Jason lets go of the kid and falls back,
impaled.
And you see like
his mask falls off.
And you see him impaled, and like the mask is ripped open, and you see it's the paramedic from the beginning of the movie.
Yep. And then they're in the hospital, and the sheriff, is talking to the girl, and he's like, "Yeah, we found out that kid that got killed in the beginning with the chocolate bar was the paramedic's son."
Well, and he's like, I don't know why he didn't tell anyone.
He never told anyone.
Like he just
that
kept it a
was.
secret and
Yeah.
everything. And so he got like so upset when his child died that he just went on a murder spree.
And decided to basically, because he also has like a collection of like news articles about Jason. Well, he
'cause
decided to blame it.
He tried to like cover it up by just making everyone believe it was Jason.
And then he's like, she gets all this information. She gets up and she goes to the room with Tommy, and it looks very happy, very idyllic.
When she's like, Tommy, it's over, and he like wakes up and like has a machete and stabs her, and then starts maniacally laughing, and then he wakes up in like a drip sweat, and you know, he's like visibly upset. So then we get the scene again where she walks into his...
He lays down, and
oh yeah, and then he sees a vision of Jason, like the actual Jason.
he's all bloodied up.
Yeah, and then like it disappears, and I think it's supposed to symbolize that like he became...
I mean, with the very end frame, it kind of
Well, yeah, because like that's why Jason's image like disappears. Because he like...
Because not only does the image disappear, but he starts smiling.
Yeah, because he kind of accepted Jason as like his new...
Whatever.
Identity.
Yeah, he's so fucked.
I don't get why they put the mask in the drawer.
They really desperately wanted this. That's all I can tell you.
Like, it was never his mask, though.
Yeah, like, it would be in a crime scene lab somewhere.
Yeah, like, so it doesn't really make sense, but it just... They really, like you said, they really wanted this to work.
They really wanted this insanity to work. Yeah.
So he, like, pulls the mask out of the drawer in his own hospital room.
And he hears footsteps.
And so, like, he just reacts, and she walks into his room. This is the counselor.
Well, as she's about to walk in, you hear glass break.
Yeah, so she, like, rushes in, and she's like, oh, no, Tommy, no. And then it's a distraction, and
The door closes.
And Tommy's right behind her with the new Jason mask.
And a knife.
And he, like, raises it up. Roll credits.
Roll credits.
So,
Which, obviously, didn't go anywhere. Because...
Well, yeah, I mean, because they brought Jason back in the next...
Yes.
In the next chapter. So, they tried.
I get it. I get it because...
I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to, like, do something new. They wanted a new killer.
Yeah.
It was gonna be like the same hockey... Well, the new hockey mask with the blue...
Yes.
The blue marks on it.
Because see, as I'm sitting in this room right now, my friend William has a lovely little art piece that has every single Jason mask from every single movie. Mm-hmm. Even Jason X with the...
It really does.
Fucking crazy cyberpunk mask.
Uh-huh.
But every one of them is slightly different.
Yeah. I kind of like that they do that every time.
Well, even another franchise, which we'll get to, Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy has a slightly different look in every movie.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's a nice little...
Yeah, it's a nice little touch. It like keeps it interesting, keeps it fresh.
And, you know, it's nice that, like, each movie looks different.
I get what they were going for because they were like, okay, that's the end of Jason, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a killer that, like, acts like Jason, and maybe audiences will, like, understand more that this is, like, just a deeply disturbed person rather than just a fucking evil
supernatural, evil incarnate,
supernatural like killing machine. Mm-hmm. But people liked the killing machine more, and so they went back to the killing machine.
Obviously,
they went back to the demonic zombie that is Jason.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that.
I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Like,
I think it's kind of weird how they brought him back. I was gonna say stupid, but I don't think it's stupid. I just think it's weird.
What, the next one?
The electrocution thing.
Yeah, because I mean, like, this is getting ahead of ourselves, but they go to his gravesite to try to like destroy the body, and then when they basically like there's a fucking like metal rod through his body, and a fucking lightning strike hits it.
Yeah, they basically fucking like Frankenstein's monster him.
Well, he literally even has that because I know there's like he's like half fucking zombified or whatever in that one, which again I have no problem with because that's probably my favorite one, and it is an insane way to bring him back, which I think they were aware of because
Now, my only nitpick with this movie, and I get that they probably couldn't help it, like it was obviously studio involvement.
Well,
It
it's more than studio at that point.
it just like I don't know, it shies away from like being like really violent. Because it like it's a lot of cutaways, it's a lot of like
Yeah.
it's a lot of like people reacting to things, and then like something will swing in their face and then it cuts away. Um I don't like how they toned it down. Because I mean it's a slasher film. I want like if you're watching this kind of movie, you want a lot of violence, you want a lot of cool kills, and I just for like the entire franchise, it has some not so great kills for me. They're not the best, to be honest. They're kind of like just tame, and they're kind of just average for the most part. I mean, there are some cool scenes, obviously. It's still a good movie, and it still like works better than Chapter 8, but
See, I don't know. I can't really like fault them because these movies, especially this one and Seven, like I don't know if you ever watched like what the hell is it called? Crystal Lake Memories, that like massive documentary about this franchise. But they talk about how like the MPAA had like a massive hate boner for these movies,
yeah.
and they basically like kept giving them the NC-17 over and over, so they had to like keep whittling down.
Well, and see, that's what I mean. It's like I get it wasn't.
Yeah.
That's why it's like a nitpick. It's not like a. I just wish.
We could have seen the
I just
full-
wish I could have seen the full effect, right? Like
Yeah.
maybe release. I know they have some special features on the Blu-ray where you can see some of the scenes.
Yeah, they're not in like
I just,
HD.
I
but, yeah,
really would like to see like an uncut version
with
with the like full extended death scenes.
because you can tell like there's one or two scenes in this where
It was gonna go farther.
well, it's like it like does it like shows you something and then it does like a fade out effect, and that it and there's no like every other scene has normal scene transitions, but then they'll do like these like during those death scenes they'll do like a weird fade out effect, and it screams of interference.
yeah.
That's what you want to call it, where there's obviously more footage, but they just fade it out, and you're clearly missing like a few seconds of footage.
Now listen, I still think it's a good movie. Like, don't get me wrong. I just wanted to see like as crazy a fucking like movie as like 4.
Yeah, because 4 is
Violent. It is
Because
like
the other thing with 4 is because they told them that it was the final chapter, so to speak. The MPAA was more lenient on it,
yeah.
which is why, though it's funny because it was more lenient, but even 4, because you can look it up on YouTube, you can look at the uncut versions of 4, and each death scene still had like 2 or 3 seconds of gore
Yeah.
that they still whittled down.
I don't know. Like I kind of like the only reason I bring it up is because I would love to see like an unedited version.
Yeah. Because I guarantee you there's more footage of the guy who gets his head crushed
Yes.
with the belt.
I'm sure they had a full skull crushing scene. It looks like there's more to the part where the guy gets the flare stuck.
Oh,
in
yeah.
like
I
shoved in his
guarantee
mouth.
you there's more with
I
that.
guarantee there was more to that because they cut away really quickly.
I guarantee there's more with
They might have showed the death of like the main counselor too.
I that one I feel like they probably didn't, but I don't think they did because it's obviously supposed to be surprising
Yeah.
when you see him dead. But yeah, no, the flare, I think even the other guy, because when he gets killed, they like do this like zoom effect, and it doesn't look like it's like a zoom effect where it's not the camera zooming, it's like done in post.
Well, also the guy with the cocaine.
Yeah,
I feel like that was a longer.
There was definitely
cut.
more.
Yeah, there was more to that. I mean, for what it is, it's a good slasher movie. I just wish it was a little more like grisly.
see my
Had more teeth.
single nitpick, and it's kind of might be weird because it's a slasher movie. And people say, "Why do you care about that?" Well, I care, so fuck you. Is this movie? It's very like I don't hate. I do like the characters in this movie, but you get like zero character development in this thing.
Yeah, I noticed that too, where it's just like you don't really get time enough with any of these
Because
characters.
like in the one before this, like with the final, because I mean, this movie kind of has a final girl, but like the one before this,
well, I mean that we can bring
You
that
got
up.
a lot.
We can bring that up too. It's kind of weird that literally the final girl is almost an afterthought in this movie.
which I get because it's like it is a movie kind of about Tommy, but they still do a final girl, so it's like they wanted to have their cake and eat it.
But again, she's kind of an afterthought. So if you're gonna do a final
Yeah.
girl, why not give her more screen time?
But that's the thing is,
She barely has any.
we know nothing about her
Well, she barely has any scenes, and then we're supposed to care about her in the end.
because the one before this, like,
And the kid barely has any scenes either.
I'd say the kid has more screen time than she does.
Yes, she.
You know
I
more
mean-
about him because
yeah.
you know about his brother, you know about his dad, you know about all that.
Well, yeah, and it's like I don't know, like
But like you have this whole camp, right? And like all these movies have the same setup where it's like you have like a group of kids and then they develop them through the movie and they start killing them. But in this movie, they kind of don't because there's a lot of like because
Well-
like you get like the hillbillies, right? So it's like you get screen time that's given to that. You get the greasers. So there's screen time given to them. There's the dude with the cocaine. There's screen time given to that.
well, I was also kind of like fascinated by how this movie's pace is like breakneck speed.
Which
It is like
it's not a problem, but yes,
right,
it is breakneck.
Well, I mean, even for a slasher film, it
Yeah.
goes fucking fast. Like people are dying left and right, like every fucking second. Like
Yep.
it does not fucking slow down once Jason starts killing people.
Yeah. Like once
it just fucking goes. It just floors it. Like,
Yep.
which again is fine, but I wish we had a little more time with the characters.
Yeah.
So their deaths were a little bit more meaningful.
yeah, because like in the fourth one, you know, they introduce all these characters and you start to get to know them and you see all their like in like their like at the party, you see all their little
Yeah.
character traits, their flaws, whatever.
Yeah.
And then the body count starts ramping up and it's kind of like it's more effective because you kind of get to know them
Right.
and you get to like them.
Yeah.
And then they start dying.
Whereas
Whereas in
and
this,
you didn't really get time enough to like. I mean, the characters are likable,
yeah, they're not bad.
but they're
It's
just
not part 8 where I could not tell you a goddamn thing about any of the characters.
yeah. But there are some like where you don't want the kid to die and like all this stuff. So there is like characters that are important and impactful. But for the most part, pretty much none of the other characters are.
Yeah, because there's a lot of like this movie has a lot of side characters.
Yeah.
Probably the most in any Friday the 13th movie.
Well, what's weird too is like I don't even know why they bothered showing the fucking cops multiple times. Like, there's like that goes almost fucking nowhere.
Yeah, we just get a scene of like, you know, the mayor berating them, and it's like I don't have a problem with that scene necessarily, but it's not.
It's not earned because
Yeah.
like they don't fucking like it goes nowhere. Like, we don't care about these cops. We've seen them once.
Like you could have had another scene, you know, giving the characters some screen time so that we know something more.
Have a scene, like a typical slasher. Have a scene of the cops investigating and talking to the actual characters.
If that.
We don't even
hell.
get that though. Like we don't get anything. It's just like a scene we're supposed to care about the cops. We know they're investigating, and that's about it.
That's it.
And then at the end, it's just like, oh yeah, well, like we found out this paramedic guy, like his son died. Like
Right.
that's literally the whole thing.
Cool. It's fine.
But anyway, so like small nitpicks, still a good movie. Still earns its spot in the franchise, I think, in my opinion.
I still enjoy this. I
Like
still think
lower on the lower on the post, obviously, but like I still think it earns it.
Yeah.
I still think it's worthwhile watching it in the franchise. Like if you're
Yeah.
doing a marathon and watching them like sequentially, I think you do still need to watch the movie. I think it's still impactful, but
And it's nice, and it's like it is a nice. It's kind of interesting because if you watch them, if you marathon them, this is kind of a nice deviation, I guess.
well, it gives you a little bit of reprieve from like Jason just murdering
Because you
everyone.
get 4 straight up horror movies with Jason. Then you get this, which is a lot more goofy. I mean, I think it's undeniable. This is a much more goofy movie than the one before it.
Yes.
Because hell, fucking final chapter. Final chapter seems like a fucking like. Final chapter is like it's like fucking Hereditary compared to this.
Well, it's
It's so dark and like mean and vicious.
I was gonna say it's a really mean and cruel movie.
And then you get this, which is so goofy that it's like it's such a 180. And like don't get me wrong, because like Final Chapter and 6 are my 2 favorites.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a nice deviation, just because it's like you get 4 movies of just like escalating like fucking cruelty,
Terror and dread and yeah.
and then you get this kind of silliness. I mean, it's still a horror movie, obviously, but it's a nice little distraction. So I still like this movie. I mean, it's still like it's a good looking movie.
I still think it earns its place. It's still fun to watch, and that's
Yes.
what's important.
It is still a fun movie.
It's still a good Friday the 13th film. Is it the best? No. But it is it is worth watching, I think. Shitty to pretty.
I'll give it an 8.
8. I think it earns an 8. Like Final Chapter would probably be a 10. I think we
did
rate
give it a 10.
10.
Because Final Chapter is the final chapter.
Yeah.
It's legendary. Like Final Chapter is Final Chapter is such a quintessential slasher.
Mm-hmm.
It's like almost cliche
Yeah.
how it has everything.
Yep.
This I still think it's a nice attempt. I mean, I really obviously this fucking went absolutely nowhere because
Well, yeah,
What
they
do
just
you
went
do?
back to Jason.
it's one of those things like I don't know if like the logical part of my brain, I don't know if this whole fucking thing with Tommy becoming a killer really works. Like the logical part of my brain doesn't know if it really works, but it is what it is.
Well, I would say it earned it if he had more of a connection to Jason, but he really doesn't.
Well, he killed him.
He just killed Jason, but he didn't have there was no like personal. I don't know.
I don't know if you really need the personal one because that's almost too like cliche.
But like
If they said like, oh, he's related.
I don't know if it earned the whole him becoming Jason.
Yeah, it's just like I don't know.
Him literally becoming
Jason.
Becoming Jason.
Because the thing is like,
Because Jason, I like it better when Jason's like a supernatural force. Like
Right.
he's like this demonic force. And yes, he is still kind of supernatural because he like almost possesses Tommy's brain. But like,
well, it's like I think it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea of like what happens if, you know, a young kid witnesses all this carnage and then kills the killer. Like what happens? It's an interesting idea because obviously I do think it's realistic that he would become fucked up. So that part I get.
I get the fucked up part. I just don't get the literally becoming Jason.
Especially after killing fake Jason.
Yes.
So not only did he kill real Jason, he killed fake Jason.
Yes.
And it's like going from that to just fuck it. I'm Jason now.
Yep. I'm Jason.
There can only be one. Fuck it.
Well, also like in that respect, if they continued with that, Jason would now be human.
It would be a human killer.
It'd be a human killer. So now you couldn't do as crazy of shit where it's like you're literally maiming this fucking like beast.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is
because
like
like you can now shoot him, you can now electrocute him, and you can now flamethrower him, and he gets mortally wounded.
because that's the other thing is like even ignoring the kind of ho hum fan reception to this movie. I think the other thing is like once they, because this did make money, So once they started writing 6, I think the other thing is that they were just like, well, we kind of fucking wrote ourselves into a corner because, like, are we just gonna make a slasher movie with a human killer? Because, like,
Then it
that's
just become,
not Friday the 13th.
well, it also just becomes again another slasher
Yeah.
in that regard. It doesn't become Friday the 13th again. You have a human killer now, so now it's just another slasher.
It's just another normal.
Like
Slasher.
yes, it has the name Friday the 13th, but it doesn't have Jason anymore.
Right.
So it's like, what do you do?
And I'm sure some people have the, argument, well, part 1 wasn't Jason. Right. But at this point, the movies that everyone loves, because I do like part 1, the non-Jason one, but it is funny because I know there are people out there who do not like part 1 and only like the sequels.
Honestly, I don't blame them. I do like part 1 a lot.
I like part 1, but it is funny because part 1, the people who made it are 100% on the record as saying that they were just trying to rip off Halloween.
Yep.
And it became a fucking juggernaut. And honestly, hot take, I like these movies more than Halloween. Sue me. I don't give a fuck.
As a franchise,
As a franchise,
that's an easy fucking win.
these are a million times
That's
better.
an easy win as a franchise. Maybe not like if you combat the first one against the first Friday the 13th, like the first Halloween, first Friday the 13th,
Right.
Halloween wins every time. As a franchise,
Yeah,
no.
easily. But because obviously, like what people love in this franchise is Jason and the supernatural aspect, but it's not too supernatural until you get to part 7, which I'm curious to give that another watch, because it is another fucking batshit insane movie. But people love Jason.
Yep.
They had to have Jason back.
Well, you can tell we like Jason because this fucking episode's gonna be longer than our usual. So
We could talk for hours on end
this could be just the
About these
fucking
movies.
Friday the 13th Jason Voorhees podcast.
and
probably.
slashers.
I fucking love this franchise, and I will defend it to the day I die.
Even this movie, like, because here's the thing. Even this movie, even with our nitpicks, what I love about this movie is how it's just entertaining.
Yeah.
Like all the other ones, except, Manhattan, it's entertaining. It's just fun. Like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the chemistry of these movies and how they're made, but there's just something fun. Even when there's no carnage on screen, there's just the characters are still fun. It's fun to look at.
Yeah, it's just if you like slasher movies, this is like magnum opus.
Yes.
Like, I mean, every single movie in this franchise like is entertaining.
Yes.
Like it's just like you have like 10 plus movies that are just fucking like really just fun to watch.
And plus with this one, what I also like about these kind of franchises is even with movies like this where they're like, yeah, they're not as good as the other ones and they make some weird choices, but I appreciate that there's different things, attempts at different things, because otherwise I do think it would just grow stale if it was just the same exact movie. Because even part 6 has some crazy stuff in it and it's very different, thankfully.
And then the remake ruined it all.
And then the remake happened, and then we haven't gotten a single fucking movie since then.
Yeah, so there we go. Okay, that's how we end the podcast. I'm just gushing about this franchise, and then the remake happened, and it's all over.
It's like that Mr. Plinkett thing.
Yep.
Now everything sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I could, like I said, we could talk about these movies for hours. So we're probably gonna just leave it there. If you haven't, I would suggest maybe marathon the Friday the 13th films.
I've done it multiple times.
They're accessible on Blu-ray. I'm sure they're on. I think they're on Paramount Plus.
I believe, actually. I just saw it.
I think they would be because I mean it's Paramount. Like
there is. I
is
don't know
there
about
the
all
collection?
of them. This one, you can watch it if you have Max.
Okay.
HBO Max. Yeah, this is on there.
I know you can find these movies, and they're well loved. So if you haven't kind of dipped your toes into Friday the 13th,
Please.
maybe watch the first one first, see if you like it.
I think watch all of them. I mean, why not?
Just marathon it.
Plus, I mean, the first one still sets up kind of the whole thing, and the first one has one of the most legendary, iconic, gotcha jump scares in any movie.
Yeah, the very
ever.
end. Yeah.
Which, I mean, listen.
And if you haven't seen that, just prepare. It's so good. I wish I could watch it with virgin eyes again. I really do. It's so
still lit.
good.
It's still lit.
It's still awesome, but I would love to go back and watch it for the
Not
first
have a clue,
time again.
yeah.
But anyway, before we go off on another tangent,
Get this back on track.
let's get this back on track. We'll end the episode here. We don't want to go on for too long. For they mostly come out at night. This has been Will.
This has been Alex.
We will talk to you all later.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Fucking goddamn